is a bit of a tryout, but this is the Harley-Davidson Pan American 1250. This is a bit strange for me. I'm not used to doing tests like these in English, but Jensen Beeler of A&R asked me to, so here we go. And probably my English is better than your Dutch, so we're going to try it anyway. Welcome to Germany, and we're here in a mine, and not an abandoned mine. This is an actual still working mine. And here we got to test first the Harley-Davidson Pan American 1250. And I know everyone all over the world has been waiting for this bike. Is this bike what it says it is? And is this a true adventure bike? We've seen all the videos and we saw a Harley-Davidson jump and we thought this could never happen. Well, the jumping will be okay, but the landing will be crap. And then we stopped laughing because Harley came with the digits for it. The price, the weight, the Newton meters and the horsepower was quite up to par and at the same level almost as the BMW R1250 GS. And in Europe the GS is the standard. The best sold bike in almost all countries here in Europe is that same GS. So if Harley wants to survive and they had to do something, this is quite a good way to go. I mean, Livewire, nice try, no cigar. This one is going to be the bike that will really sell because there's really people wanting to buy adventure bikes. Okay, I've said the word BMW, so that's the level where we're looking for in this bike. And when we saw the numbers, we thought, well, it can be and it can be not. And I can tell you, I've ridden this one for a day now, it can be. I mean, Harley-Davidson has done quite an amazing job in building this bike because they threw overboard everything they had and came with a new engine. And this new engine is truly a new engine because it's not a Harley engine anymore. Okay, it's still a V-twin, but it's a 60 degree and it revs high and the power is high revving. So it's not a bok 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 bike anymore, it's a brrr bike becoming now, which means it's really quick. It's got a nice line of torque and a nice line of power. And it's a bit flat. I mean, compared to a GS or a KTM 1290, you can maybe miss the kick a bit. That's the two other bikes that definitely have a kick like that. This one is a bit more straight. Other things like suspension, like seat position, like everything is done really well. The dashboard is really great. And this is the S version, which is a bit more expensive as the standard version, of course. So this one's got semi-active active electronic suspension. Works really well. Harley came with a kind of gimmick-like lowering system. Good plan, but it's not there where it should be yet, because if I was short, I'm not. If I was short, I would want to have all control on the system, and the system has got its own control a bit. So sometimes you're not sure what it's doing, but the idea is good. If you come to a traffic light, it lowers itself a bit so you can put your foot on the ground. So that's a nice extra gimmick, but the base is the most important. I think most people will agree with me that this bike is looking like a Harley-Davidson. It doesn't ride like what Harley-Davidson used to be anymore, that's for sure. Engine I talked about, suspension I talked about, seat position I talked about, but the feeling is the biggest difference, I think. I mean, a normal Harley-Davidson, you glide majestically through the landscape. And on this one, you are really pinning it behind another guy trying to be the quickest one in the Westerwald here in Germany. And that's quite an achievement Harley has done. So if you compare it to like the GS or the KTM, it's like 90% there, which is quite an accomplishment. I mean, it's a really great bike. And if this is the first version, then the second version will be amazing. And you could compare it a bit with the first KTM adventure, and that's quite something to say here. On the other hand, there are a lot of people riding Harleys who think, well, maybe I like being in a seat position right up would be a bit better for me, a bit higher, I could travel a bit easier. For them it's going to be a different story, because if you come from the older Harleys, it's going to be different, very different. It's not going to be a little bit different, it's going to be a totally new bike. So you have to accept and agree that this is then a new Harley-Davidson, a really new Harley-Davidson. So if you want to ride this, I think for Harley riders, make sure you try it and you'll probably like it, but it will be very different. All other motorcycle riders looking for an adventure bike, I think before you buy the GS or the KTM, you should at least try this one, because probably you will really like it. And the GS after 40 years is a bit more sophisticated, and the KTM is a bit more powerful, feels a bit more aggressive. But this one, if you like how it looks, if you like to have a Harley-Davidson, you cannot go wrong on this one.